Hi, I'm Chef Raphael, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a recipe, but I'm showing you how to do it from scratch. I've done my shopping, and this is actually in marking the World Food Safety Day. So I'm going to show you how to make the ingredients, but I'll also show you the process in buying, how to buy your ingredients. I'm making a salad, and I have some few ingredients here and there. So let me first unpack all the ingredients that I have. I have some mangoes, I have some lettuce, onions, tomatoes, some herbs. I also have some snow peas. All these are ingredients that I felt would work with the recipe that I have. I also have mixed colored peppers. So ideally this is how you get them in a supermarket. Yeah, all that unpacking. I also have some olives. And I also have some chicken. So I decided to do the video a little bit different. So I have some chicken ready for cooking. So I'll show you how to do a recipe whenever, especially you're doing a recipe that has different types of either the cooked, the ready to eat and the raw food. I'll show you how to prepare everything so that you don't cross-contaminate, and then you have, you make your food safe. So everything is out. Let me first get into my kitchen attire. So let's get started. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button so that you're notified whenever I have a new recipe out. And welcome to today's video. Now, it's World Food Safety Day on the 7th of June of this year. We're in 2020. And this day is actually set aside to make people sensitive and aware about what food safety is all about. And that's why I'm actually even doing this video, to show you what steps you need to take to make your food safe. And today I chose a salad recipe, and I'm also using some chicken. So I'll first show you all the steps you need to do to make your food safe. And for example, here we have raw chicken, and we have the vegetables that most of this, because you're doing it as a salad, you're not going to cook them. So the first thing you need to do whenever you have raw and ready to eat food is to separate. Now the chicken, I'm going to put it in the fridge. In the fridge, we also have a way of separating the food, whereby most of the meats, either you put them in the freezer or in the top shelf of the fridge, or basically where you'll not, like this one is already fully covered, so the juices that are inside will not drip into the food. So that's also very important. You need to cover your food, especially raw food, especially like chicken. Make sure it's fully covered and it's not leaking, and then put it in the fridge, because also you need it to be in the fridge so that it's safe, it doesn't go bad. So also make sure that whenever you're handling raw food and ready to eat food, wash your hands. So you need to wash your hands first. Now that the chicken is out of the way, now we come into the vegetables. Before we even start processing them, let me also give you tips on how to buy food in a safe way. Now, I bought my vegetables and fruits in a supermarket, and usually most supermarkets have a good way of packaging the ingredients, the produce. Also look out for freshness. Like this one, you can tell it looks fresh. It doesn't look rotten or anything like that. So that's one tip you can use, because if it's rotten or it's not so nice looking, that means even something like peppers, if it looks fresh, you can tell by the top, this top part. When it's old, this one will be wilted. When it's fresh, it looks nice, nice and plump and fresh. So look out for that before you're buying, when you're buying, because it will affect your end result of your food. If you have food that is slightly rotten or slightly going bad, it can easily even make your wastage more than you require. Tomatoes is a good example. So make sure that they are all firm and nice. For the vegetables, if it's nicely packed like this, this is perfect. You can place it in the fridge as it is. If you're buying it open like this one, like I have, make sure you clean the herbs. You clean the whole herbs, because this has soil. This is part of the dirt that can go back to your food, so you need to clean them thoroughly. The coriander, you can remove the stalk. Sometimes, personally, I like cutting off this part and then cleaning it completely, and then drying it off. When you dry it and then you place it in a container, the coriander will keep for up to a week. The dry ingredients like this one, the onions and the garlic, you can wash them if you're going to cook them immediately. Alternatively, you can place them, in your wherever you place them, either in a rack or wherever you place them, but make sure that they are all together. The fresh ones, put them in the fridge. If you don't have a fridge, my suggestion is buy just whatever you'll need for up to about 2 days, because if you keep them long out of the fridge, they will go bad. We also have here the snow peas. Snow peas they are basically like peas. I decided to buy them and to show you how you can use them, because they're also they're not something that we usually eat a lot, but when you're making the actual recipe, I'll show you how to prepare them. But let me now start with the cleaning of the vegetables, and then we'll start with the preparing of the salad part of this recipe. So make sure you clean your surface well. Here I'm using soap and water before you start processing your food. And this will eliminate any of the dirt and germs that may have come from the raw food. So all our veggies are ready. I've cleaned the lettuce. And one thing I didn't mention when we were saying about the lettuce is when you're cleaning it, you need running water, and try and remove the leaves and wash them individually, because what usually happens, especially with lettuce, sometimes depending on where the actual produce has been grown, it has dirt or insects on the inside. So it's always a good idea to clean leaf by leaf, especially the outer ones. And then when it comes to the inside one, just open it up like that and make sure that they don't have any of the insects or dirt on the inside. But now we'll start with this. This is coarse lettuce. You can use whichever lettuce you have available. This is what was actually available in the supermarket when I was buying it. Remember, we cleaned our surface before we started this whole process. It's always, that's part of the food safety we are talking about. Clean your surface first, soap, water, and then the surface is clean. The chopping board has to be clean. And when you're never using a chopping board, make sure that you don't cross-contaminate by, let's say if I was, remember I have the chicken waiting. If you're cutting the chicken, the good idea is to use a separate chopping board for that. Or if you have just one chopping board, make sure you clean it completely with soap and water before you cut any raw or ready to eat food, like the vegetables here. So see, with all the different types of veggies I have, the snow peas, the onion, the peppers, and the mango. I love the mango part to make this salad interesting. I'll cut them all up. By the way, I've already blanched the snow peas. Water was boiling, salty water, and then put them in for about 1 minute in the boiling water, and now they are ready to eat. So I'll cut them all and then assemble them in the lettuce, and when you're done, I'll show you what to do next. So now we have the chicken. What I have here is the chicken breast. I have the 2 pieces, and what I have decided to do is to have it with the skin on. So the skin is on, but usually when you're buying chicken breast, it doesn't have the skin on. Personally, I like that crispiness when the chicken the skin is on. We are grilling it. I'm using a grill pan here. You can actually use a pan, a flat pan, which is still be okay. I'll just show you the simple technique of seasoning, which is just salt and pepper. And as you've noticed, I'm actually using a different chopping board. Because remember we talked about cross-contamination. Assuming this is what we had started with in terms of working with it, let's say you want to do the chicken first. If you only have one chopping board, make sure you thoroughly clean it, and then you start cutting the vegetables and everything else that you need to cut. In this case, I'm using a different board, and you can designate different boards for different purposes at home. You can choose one to be for just meats and the other one for cutting vegetables or ready to eat food. We usually have different color codes for chopping boards. And that's all. It's part of the food safety to make sure that you don't do cross-contamination. So salt, pepper. You can also add, spices, whatever spice you have. Let's say you have paprika. I've done the same kind of a recipe with curry powder. That can still work. It's up to you. So salt and pepper, and what I will do here is add a little bit of oil. Here I'm using some olive oil, just drizzle a small amount. And that will help in the grilling part of the chicken. If you're using a normal pan, this just a small amount of oil. I'm using olive oil, but you can actually use sunflower oil, corn oil, whichever flavor less oil that you have. And the idea when you're doing a grilling is to wait for the pan to be hot, and when we place the chicken, when it starts cooking, again, cross-contamination, food safety, I will wash my hands, clear the board, because I'll not be needing it again. So when it comes to the cooking part, in terms of food safety, it's also ensuring that the food is fully cooked. On this part of the chicken, how you tell the food is cooked is when the internal temperature has reached about 70 degrees Celsius. That's over 70. Now, how you know it's cooked, if you don't have a thermometer, is that on the inside, the liquid coming out will not be pink. I'll now turn it. It has been cooking for about 3 minutes or 4, and then you turn it so that it cooks on the second side. Mind you, right now as I'm cooking it on medium heat. If you're using a normal pan, still the same, just make sure you regulate the heat so that it doesn't burn on the outside and then on the inside is not fully cooked. And again, fully cooked is anything above 70 degrees Celsius. But also when it comes to cooking, overcooking is also not so good because the flavor will not be there if you overcook this meat. And when the especially chicken breast is dried out, it's basically overcooked. You can tell again by checking with a thermometer, or when you make a small cut, the liquid coming out is clear, not pink or reddish, especially for chicken. Chicken should always be cooked well done, which is what I'm trying to achieve here. And the other thing about food safety is, that I've done is that, you see now I have another chopping board here. Now this is the chopping board that I'll use for the chicken when it's fully cooked. Now I'll cut it out from my chopping board. This is assuming the normal color for a chopping board that is for fully cooked food is yellow. You may not have that at home. The idea again is to differentiate what chopping board is for what. If you only have one, make sure you clean it thoroughly and dry it before you start with the next task. So the chicken is ready, and again, like I said earlier, is when you know it's cooked, when the liquid coming from it inside, when you make a small cut, it's clear. You'll also see if it's not cooked, you'll also see it's a little bit pink, especially for chicken. But this is well done. If you have a thermometer, a probe thermometer whereby you can probe the chicken on the inside, that's another way of telling that it's cooked. But let me take this one, the bigger piece, because now what I will do for this salad is to cut the chicken at an angle, which is basically the chicken that we'll place on top of the salad. Now, again, when it comes to cooking, there's the part whereby you're cooking it until it's fully done, which is about above 70 degrees. There's one thing I also need to mention about safety of cooked food. If you're going to eat food when it's hot, it needs to be when it's 70 degrees or at least 60 degrees and above. Now, when it comes to cooled food, like while you're cooking this, you place this in the fridge, because food, there's something called the danger zone, which is anything between 5 degrees and about 60 degrees Celsius. At that stage is when the food is at risk. And that's why we always say that it's either you have it very hot, that is above 60 degrees, or cold from the fridge. If we wanted to have this chicken into a salad when it's cold, we need to let it cool down. And food needs to take about not more than 2 hours on the outside until it's fully cooled. Assuming we want to have this cold, we just place it somewhere to cool, because when you place this in a fridge, when it's hot, it will damage the fridge, because it will increase the fridge temperature in the fridge, and then whatever food that is inside, it will be warm. Again, that's not good. So you need to cool your food first and then place it in the fridge. Well, that's the main point about when you're cooking hot food. And now let's start cutting it. So I'm cutting it at an angle. When you cut chicken at an angle, it seems, looks like a big piece, makes it the presentation nicer. Assuming you want to serve it in the same bowl, you can either cut the chicken into the way I've cut it, or you can make it into cubes and then mix it with the chicken. Now, to finish off the salad, we need a dressing. A dressing, you can either use olive oil. Right now, I can simply use olive oil by just drizzling on top of the salad. Olive oil has some flavor, so you can use olive oil. You can also use a vinaigrette, which is vinegar and oil. I've made a different recipe for how to make a salad dressing. You can follow that dressing recipe to make this. A dressing for this. I'll also add some salt. and pepper. If you're doing a dressing that is already has salt and pepper, you don't need to add the salt and pepper to the salad. We're doing a dressing at the end, just before serving, because when you do a dressing in advance, especially one that has vinegar, you can also add, by the way, lemon juice to this. If you do it in advance, it will wilt the salad and it will not be nice and crunchy. But right now, let me grab a bowl, and I'll also grab a tongue to mix this. So you can see all the vegetables that I added. For the tomatoes, you can cut them smaller if you like, into cubes. Personally, when I'm doing a salad, I like large, chunky bits. There's the coriander there. There's the sugar snaps. I mean the snow peas, the mango, the olives. Everything is in there, nice and delicious. So place the chicken on top. So again, the chicken is optional. When it's hot, it's actually will be really enjoyable when it's hot. The combination of the hot chicken and the cold salad will be perfect. And I'm sure this is something you will enjoy. Remember, when it comes to the ingredients, mix and match. My choice of adding mango, it's because it adds that sweetness. Mango is not a must. If you don't like even fruit, you don't have to add the fruit. But the whole point of this video today was about food safety, and I hope you've learned something today. You've learned how to handle raw food, how to not cross-contaminate. Make sure you're cleaning your hands as you keep on working, and whenever you do all that, you will not get sick often, because part of the reason why we also get sick, whether it's food poisoning, it may not be the ingredients, it may be the way you're handling the ingredients. So that's something to note. Remember, it's World Food Day on the 7th of June, and looking forward to the next video. If you have not subscribed, subscribe, and catch me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, goodbye.